There is a profound and unsettling paradox that defines the modern pursuit of connection. It is the frustrating reality that the more ferociously a man chases affection, the faster it recedes from his grasp. This isn't a novel phenomenon. It's an ancient truth about human nature, one that many have felt, but few have understood. We've been sold a narrative of grand gestures, relentless pursuit, and the exhaustive effort of winning someone over. Yet, this very approach is built on a foundation of sand. It communicates not strength, but a deep-seated deficiency, a silent admission that one's own presence is not enough to command interest. The truth that separates the man who effortlessly attracts from the one who endlessly struggles lies not in the superficialities of wealth, status, or curated appearances. It resides in something far more fundamental, something internal, his philosophical framework, his mindset. What we are about to explore are not tactics of manipulation or cold, calculated games. Instead, we will deconstruct the architecture of true, unshakable attraction through the lens of Stoic philosophy, a school of thought designed to build an impregnable fortress within the self. This is not about becoming a person who plays hard to get. It is about becoming a person who is hard to get, because your time, your focus, and your inner peace are the most valuable assets you possess. Prepare to dismantle the flawed programming you've inherited. Prepare to stop chasing and start building. Part 1. The Citadel of Self-Reliance. Your value is not for negotiation. We begin not by looking outward, but by turning our gaze inward, to the very foundation of our being. The world teaches you to perform, to prove, to hustle for your worth in the marketplace of affection. But the Stoics taught a radical alternative, that your value is not a commodity to be traded, but a citadel, to be built stone by stone through virtuous action. When you grasp this, the entire dynamic of pursuit and validation crumbles into obsolescence. The conventional wisdom on attraction is predicated on a fundamental error in valuation. It posits that a woman's attention is the prize, and the man's effort is the currency required to procure it. This transactional model forces men into a state of perpetual performance. They text incessantly, shower targets with unearned praise, and contort their schedules to be available at a moment's notice, all under the misguided belief that this demonstrates high interest and, therefore, high value. However, the psychological message sent is the precise opposite. This overeager pursuit broadcasts a desperate subtext. My own life, my own purpose, my own time is of secondary importance to securing your validation. It places the other person on a pedestal, and in doing so, positions the pursuer in a supplicant. So, crouch. Anything that is perpetually available that requires no effort to obtain is invariably devalued. It is a basic law of human psychology. We treasure what we must earn, what is rare, what has demonstrated its own intrinsic worth, independent of our desire for it. The Stoic sage Epictetus made a clear distinction between what is within our control and what is not. Our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, these are ours to command. The opinions, feelings, and reactions of others are external to us, and therefore fundamentally beyond our control. The man who chases is a man who has tragically outsourced his emotional well-being to that which is uncontrollable. His peace is contingent on a text back, His confidence is mortgaged against another's approval. The Stoic, by contrast, turns his focus entirely inward. He does not seek to build his value for an external audience. He seeks to live a life of value according to his own internal, virtuous principles. His worth is not a performance. It is a byproduct of his character. So, how does one apply this? The first step is to reclaim your time and focus as sacred. This is not a manipulative tactic to create artificial scarcity. It is the genuine, unapologetic prioritization of your own ergon, your work, your function, your purpose. You are not playing hard to get. You are hard to get because your life is filled with meaningful pursuits. You are building your empire, whether that empire is a business, a craft, a physical discipline, or an intellectual endeavor. Your schedule is dictated by your mission, not by the whims of a potential romantic interest. When you are engaged in your work, your workout, or your studies, you are fully present there. The desperate urge to constantly check your phone, to seek her attention, dissipates when your focus is anchored to something larger than yourself. Consider the practical application. When she texts, you respond not with Pavlovian immediacy, but when you have a natural break in your own endeavors. This is not a petty game of matching her reply time. It is a demonstration of a fundamental truth. Your time is occupied with matters of substance. When you are with her, you grant her your full, undivided presence, a gift of immense value precisely because it is not perpetually available. But when you are apart, you return to your own frame, your own life. This creates a natural rhythm of presence and absence, of connection and independence. It is this very distance, born not of strategy, but of genuine purpose, that creates the space for curiosity and respect to flourish. She begins to wonder about your world, the world that commands your attention so completely. That curiosity is the seed of authentic attraction, an attraction based on admiration for your self-possession, not on the fleeting gratification of your constant availability. You are not a satellite orbiting her world. You are the gravitational center of your own. You invite her to share in your journey, but the journey continues, with or without her. This is not arrogance, it is autarkeia, the Stoic ideal of self-sufficiency. You become the prize not by proclaiming it, but by living it. Your attention is earned, not freely given, and therefore it is valued immensely. Part 2. The Veil of IVB Prudence. Mastery of disclosure in an age of relentless self-exposure, where every thought and feeling is broadcast for public consumption, the greatest power lies in what you withhold. The common man mistakes transparency for intimacy, laying his entire soul bare on the first encounter. The Stoic understands that true connection is not built on a data dump of personal history, but on the gradual, deliberate unveiling of character. Mystery, in this context, is not deception. It is the natural consequence of profound depth. 1. Of the most pervasive and self-sabotaging mistakes in the early stages of courtship is the rush to full disclosure. Driven by a misguided belief that vulnerability is the express lane to connection, many men will eagerly unfurl their entire life story. Every triumph, every trauma, every hope, and every fear, as if they are reading from an autobiography. This act, intended to build trust, ironically accomplishes the opposite. It extinguishes the very flame it seeks to fan. the fire of curiosity. When everything is known, there is nothing left to discover. The journey of exploration, which is the very essence of romantic excitement, is over before it has even begun. You have handed her the last page of the book on the first date, leaving no reason to continue reading. Stoic philosophy, while championing honesty, also extols the virtue of prudence. Seneca often wrote about the importance of not speaking more than is necessary, of maintaining a calm and thoughtful reserve. This is not about being secretive or deceptive. It is about understanding that your inner world is a sanctum, not a public square. A Stoic does not feel the neurotic compulsion to overshare as a means of seeking validation. His sense of self is not contingent on being fully seen and accepted by another. Therefore, he shares information about himself deliberately, appropriately, and gradually. Each layer of his character that is revealed is not a desperate plea for acceptance, but a reward earned through time and demonstrated trust. Imagine a different approach. On a first encounter, you share a compelling aspect of your life, a passion you are pursuing, a challenging project at work, a unique skill you are developing. You speak with passion and intelligence, but you do not exhaust the topic. You leave space. You turn the conversation back to her, demonstrating genuine curiosity about her world. You give her a glimpse of the vast landscape of your life, but you do not give her the entire map. This is not a game. It is the natural posture of a man of substance. He has depth, and depth cannot be fully plumbed in a single conversation. He leaves her wondering, not because he is being intentionally evasive, but because his life is genuinely complex and interesting. That sense of, what else is there, is the engine of sustained attraction. This principle extends beyond in-person conversation to your entire digital footprint. In an era of performative oversharing, where social media feeds are a minute-by-minute chronicle of mundane activities, a man who maintains a degree of privacy stands out. His life is not an open book for public consumption. He posts with intention, if at all. He does not need the constant feedback loop of likes and comments to validate his experiences. When she cannot piece together your entire day from your online activity, her imagination is engaged. She begins to build a narrative of a man who is too busy living his life to meticulously document it. This perceived unpredictability is magnetic. It signals a man who is the master of his own time and attention, not a slave to the digital agora. The Stoic understands that true freedom includes freedom from the compulsion to be constantly known and observed. By embodying this, you are not manufacturing mystery. You are living a life of such focus and internal richness that mystery becomes its natural byproduct. Let her discover you in layers, like excavating a priceless artifact. The process of discovery itself is what creates value and deepens the bond far more than any premature confession ever could. Part 3. The Unperturbed Mind. The Fortress of Emotional Control. The ultimate test of a man's character is not how he behaves when things go his way, but how he responds to the inevitable storms of uncertainty and provocation. Anyone can be charming when the seas are calm, but it is in the face of emotional turbulence that the boy is separated from the man, the fragile ego from the stoic mind. Your ability to remain an island of calm in a sea of chaos is not merely attractive, it is the highest demonstration of power. There is perhaps no greater corrosive agent to attraction than emotional instability. The man who is a slave to his passions, who erupts in jealousy, who seethes with passive aggression when a text goes unanswered, who spirals into anxiety when plans change, reveals a terrifying fragility. He communicates that his internal state is not his own, but is instead a puppet controlled by the strings of external events and the actions of others. This lack of emotional sovereignty is profoundly unattractive because it signals a lack of safety and reliability. A woman cannot feel secure with a man whose peace can be shattered by a minor inconvenience. It reveals an inner world in chaos, and chaos is the antithesis of the masculine strength she is instinctively drawn to. The core of Stoic practice is the cultivation of apatheia, a state of being undisturbed by the passions. This is not to be confused with apathy or cold detachment. It is, rather, a state of rational composure and emotional resilience, forged by a deep understanding of what is and is not within our power. The Stoic, like the philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius, reminds himself constantly that external events have no power to harm his soul. Only his judgment of those events can. So, when a woman tests your emotional fortitude, whether consciously or unconsciously, it is not a game to be won, but an opportunity to practice virtue. Consider the common scenarios. She cancels a date at the last minute. The reactive man, the man ruled by his passions, might become angry or needy. He might demand an explanation, send a barrage of texts, or sulk in passive-aggressive silence. His fragile ego feels slighted, and he lashes out. The Stoic, however, remains unperturbed. He understands that her reasons are her own and are external to him. He does not allow his equilibrium to be disturbed. His response is simple, calm, and final. No problem. Perhaps another time. He then immediately returns his focus to his own life, his own plans. He does not ruminate. He does not catastrophize. He has demonstrated in that single moment that his inner peace is non-negotiable and is not dependent on her presence or actions. This emotional solidity is magnetic. It is a silent testament to an inner strength that is as rare as it is admirable. This mastery extends to the management of positive emotions as well. Infatuation, while intoxicating, can be a dangerous passion. The man who becomes immediately obsessed, who confesses undying feelings after a handful of dates, who makes grand, premature gestures, is signaling neediness. The Stoic, while allowing himself to feel and appreciate the burgeoning connection, tempers his enthusiasm with reason. He allows the relationship to unfold at a natural, unforced pace. He understands that true, lasting bonds are not forged in a flash of manic intensity, but are built slowly, deliberately, on a foundation of mutual respect and shared experience. His mantra is, "I enjoy your company, but I do not need it for my own contentment." This balance of wanting without needing is the very essence of powerful attraction. To cultivate this, one must engage in practical, daily exercises. When you feel the sting of jealousy or the heat of anger, pause. Do not react in the moment. As Seneca advised, create a space between the stimulus and your response. In that space lies your freedom. Breathe. Step away. Wait until you can think. And speak from a place of reason, not passion. This discipline, practiced consistently, becomes your default state. You become the calm in the storm, the man who does not lose himself in the emotional whirlwind of dating, but who moves through it with intention, clarity, and an unshakable inner peace. That is a man she can not only like, but deeply respect and admire. Part 4. The sacred boundary, the imperative of self-respect, kindness. Without a spine is not a virtue, it is a liability. The world is full of nice guys who tolerate disrespect, in the mistaken belief that their infinite patience will one day be rewarded. It never is. True strength lies not in your capacity to endure mistreatment, but in your calm, unwavering refusal to do so. A boundary is not a wall to keep others out. It is the clear demarcation of the respect you demand from others because you first demand it from yourself. There is a critical distinction between being easygoing and being a doormat. A man who allows his boundaries to be consistently violated, who tolerates disrespect, flakiness, or emotional manipulation out of a fear of creating conflict or losing the woman, is sending an unmistakable signal. I do not value myself, and the immutable law of human interaction is that others cannot respect you more than you respect yourself. A woman may initially enjoy the freedom of being able to act without consequence, but on a deeper, more primal level, she cannot and will not feel attraction for a man whom she can dominate. Respect is the non-negotiable bedrock upon which all genuine attraction is built. We have all witnessed the tragic figure of the man who mistakes tolerance for love. She cancels plans repeatedly without a credible reason. She openly flirts with others in his presence. She makes jokes at his expense that are laced with contempt. And he absorbs it all, believing his saintly patience will eventually be recognized. It is a fatal miscalculation. Her internal monologue is not, "What a kind, understanding man." It is, "He has no self-respect." And with each transgression he tolerates, her respect for him erodes, atom by atom, until nothing is left but a mixture of pity and contempt. The behavior inevitably escalates because unchecked disrespect always does, leading to a dynamic where he is either abandoned or kept as a permanent emotional servant. The Stoic approach to boundaries is rooted in the virtue of justice. Justice towards oneself. A Stoic man is calm, kind, and understanding, but he is also firm. His self-worth is not derived from external approval, so he is not afraid to lose it by speaking a difficult truth. When a boundary is crossed, he does not respond with the reactive anger of a wounded ego. That would be to succumb to passion. Instead, he addresses the issue from a place of calm, rational principle. For example, if she is consistently and unapologetically late, he doesn't rage. He might say, calmly and without accusation, "I value my time, and I expect the person I'm with to value it as well. Punctuality is important to me." If she makes a joke that feels disrespectful, he doesn't lash out or laugh it off. He might pause, look her in the eye, and say, "I don't appreciate humor at my expense like that." The power of such a statement lies in its quiet certainty. It is not a request. It is a declaration of his standards. This may lead to an uncomfortable conversation, but that discomfort is a necessary crucible for forging respect. She learns, in that moment, that he is a man with a defined sense of self, a man with lines that cannot be crossed. However, the most crucial element is the follow-through. A boundary stated but not enforced is worse than no boundary at all. It is a confession of weakness. If the disrespectful behavior continues after he has calmly addressed it, he must be willing to walk away. His willingness to choose his own self-respect over her company is the ultimate demonstration of his value. It is this quiet confidence, this radical self-respect, that is magnetically attractive. It proves he is not a man desperate for any port in a storm. He is a man with dignity, a man who navigates by his own internal compass, and a woman of substance will be far more intrigued by the man who is willing to lose her than by the man who is willing to lose himself to keep her. Part 5. The Sovereign Self. The unyielding anchor of purpose. In the final analysis, attraction is not a prize you win. It is the natural consequence of who you are. The most powerful force you can project is not charm or wit, but the quiet, gravitational pull of a man anchored to a mission. A man whose life has direction, meaning, and purpose is a sovereign kingdom unto himself. He does not seek a woman to complete him. He invites a worthy partner to join him in the empire he is already building. The ultimate expression of the principles we have discussed culminates in the concept of sovereignty, the state of being the undisputed ruler of your own life. A sovereign man is not defined by his relationship status. His identity, his happiness, and his sense of purpose are not contingent upon a woman's presence. He is a man with a mission. This mission could be building a business, mastering a skill, achieving physical excellence, or pursuing a creative vision. Whatever it is the northern star of his existence. It dictates how he allocates his most precious resource, his time. He does not abandon his purpose at the first sign of romantic interest. He does not cancel a critical work session or a long-planned gym workout simply because she texts, "Come over." He is not being cold or unavailable. He is being disciplined. He is demonstrating that his life has a structure, a hierarchy of values, and that his commitment to his own growth is paramount. This is a stark contrast to the man who makes a woman the center of his universe. When your world begins to revolve entirely around her, when your goals are placed on the back burner and your personal standards are compromised to keep her happy, a subtle but fatal shift occurs. She may initially feel flattered by the attention, but she will instinctively lose respect. A primal part of her understands that a man who so easily abandons his own purpose cannot be a reliable leader for himself, let alone a partner in a meaningful relationship. You are not bringing her into your world. You are trying to escape into hers, and this is a position of weakness. The Stoic ideal of autarkia, or self-sufficiency, is the philosophical underpinning of sovereignty. The Stoic finds his contentment and purpose from within, from living a life of virtue and reason. A relationship, therefore, is not a means to fill a void. It is a partnership between two complete, self-reliant individuals who choose to share their journeys. When you embody this sovereignty, your entire presence changes. You radiate a quiet confidence that is not boastful, but is deeply felt. She sees that you are a man of substance and direction, a man who is building something meaningful, with or without her approval. This is infinitely more exciting and attractive than the man who is simply waiting for a relationship to give his life meaning When you maintain this sovereign frame, every interaction is imbued with greater weight. When you do choose to spend your time with her, she understands it is a conscious choice, a deliberate allocation of a valuable asset, not a default action born of boredom or neediness. Your attention becomes a gift, not an entitlement. This is the essence of being the chooser rather than the one waiting to be chosen. You are evaluating her as a potential partner for your already rich and meaningful life. This shifts the dynamic from one of supplication to one of mutual consideration. You stop chasing because you recognize your own inherent worth. You maintain a dignified reserve because your self-esteem is not dependent on her approval. You master your emotions and set firm boundaries because you respect yourself above all. You remain anchored to your purpose because you are proud of the life you are building. When you live by this code, you offer something most men cannot: stability, direction, depth, and the security of knowing you are a man who is whole unto himself. And in a world of chaos and neediness, that wholeness is the most magnetic force of all. To truly master the art of attraction, you must first master yourself. Commit to this path, not as a tactic, but as a way of life, and you will find that the love and respect you once chased will begin to pursue you.